Now there's one thing that just about every garden needs. For me, there's nothing better than to get out there and wander around and take in a garden in all its glory. And for that, you need a path. It doesn't matter what it's made of, you've got to have something to walk around on. And today we're going to look at gravel paths. Now this particular gravel path has already been installed, but it's actually been installed a little bit badly. It looks wonderful, but what's happened here just goes to show how if you get it a little bit wrong, it can be an absolute disaster. So to look at, this path is actually really nice. It's got some lovely sweeping curves, and the contrast of the gravel and the stone edgings really works. But there is a problem with this path, and it's simply that the gravel is too deep. When you walk in it, you start to sink. You feel a little bit drunk, your feet go from under you. And that's just simply because they put too much gravel down and didn't put a compact base under a thinner layer. So the simple way to sort the problem is just to get rid of a lot of the bulk of that gravel, get it out of the way, and then put a nice base of crushed stone down and compact it. Then all of a sudden your path will be firm, and you just need to put a little bit of decorative gravel on top for effect, and Bob's your uncle. It looks great. And putting hardcore like this down first is what we would ordinarily do when we created a path from scratch. So I'm just shoveling probably about 50% of the existing gravel out of the way, and that's just lowering the depth of gravel, so we've got a bit of space to work in when we put our hardcore in. So the next thing we do is we just pull the gravel about just to level it. And you can see now I've done that, we've actually got a bit of a dish rather than the gravel being crowned over the top. And that's great because I can get the hardcore into there and it'll settle down nicely. Right, so here we go, one barrow full of crushed stone. Like I say, this is what we would ordinarily put down as a base for a gravel path before we laid the gravel. But what we're doing in this case is we're using some of that existing gravel that there was too much of to add to the crushed stone to give it some ballast, some structure. Now this crushed stone is really fine, it's like almost like a powder. And what it's going to do is it's just going to work its way through the cracks in the pebbles and fill all the air pockets. And what that ultimately does is it creates a really firm, compact and durable surface. Right, so I've got a barrow full of crushed stone on there, and I'm just going to work that powdery crushed stone into that existing gravel with my sweeping brush. And what that's doing is it's just pushing it into all the air pockets and ensuring that when we compact it with the whacking machine, that's the exciting bit, it's going to go really firm. Right, that's looking good. So the final thing we need to do before we whack it is just sprinkle some water on it. And what that does is it washes the finer particles of the crushed stone even further into those air pockets. In fact, you can actually see air bubbling out. Right, so all we need to do now is whack it with the wacker, what a name for the machine. And it's quite simple. You start it up, you hit the revs, and it starts to vibrate really fastly. Those vibrations actually propel the machine over the hardcore. Watch and learn. Job, it's really consolidated that crushed stone and gravel, and the evidence of that is the fact that the finished surface is now below the edging stones at the side, and when I'd put that crushed stone on initially it was level with that. So now we've got another little bit of a dish, but below it is this really firm surface, and all we need to do is fill that little bit of a dish with the decorative gravel stuff here, and that's the finished path. Job done. Right, so now we've got a much thinner coating of pea gravel over the top of that compacted hardcore. It looks a lot better and it's going to be a lot better to walk on. Now just the final touch is to go over it one more time with a wacker, just to compact that pea gravel into hardcore a little bit, and then the job's done. There you go. You've just seen how we've fixed a problem path, but also seen how we would go about building a path from scratch so it's nice and firm, good to walk on, but pretty at the same time. Subscribe to our gardening channel to see many more videos and get 10% off your first purchase.